Hello, we are from the Keene Elm City Rotary. My name is Susan Newcomer. I'm a past president and 15-year member of the Elm City Rotary, which is the morning Rotary in the city of Keene. Ted, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Ted McGreer. I've also been a Rotarian for about 15 years with the Keene Elm City Rotary Club and a past president. And it's a joy to be here on our Elm City radio or Elm City TV show. Yeah.
Denise?
Denise Thomas, also with Keene Elm City Rotary. I'm about 12 years, I think, past president and I guess chair of the Follow Me sneaker show.
So I'm the newest member. I'm Rudy Fedrizzi. I'm a past president of the club and in the club 7 years, and I'm also the co-creator of the Kids Damar, which we'll talk about in addition to the sneakers.
So we're here today to talk about our Move Everyday project, which is a huge part of what we do as a Rotary Club. And that project delivers sneakers to well over 800 students in the Cheshire County region, all second graders. Ted, want to talk about why we deliver to second graders and show us a sneaker while you're doing it?
So these New Balance sneakers, we deliver brand new New Balance sneakers to every second grader, essentially in the region. What was it, 875 pair last year, which we're pretty proud of. We choose second graders because it's an age where that they're starting to learn how to tie their shoes. Their feet grow about half size every 3 months, and our Rotary Club gives dictionaries to third graders, so we thought it'd be a good plan to start with second graders.
Denise, tell us how you created this project along with the ideas coming from other Rotary members.
Well, I decided, or I had a thought process where it would be great if we had our own club, a signature event that we did for our community, and I was taking into consideration alignments with the schools that we already do dictionaries for, and how we can also get inspiration from the community and tie that in with healthy kids in our area. Hopefully, eventually, maybe lessening the burden on agencies like Monadnock United Way and so forth. So
Exciting.
Yeah, I just give another example of why we pick second graders. In part of our health improvement work in the community, we measure children's weight and height in the third grade. So if we could get second graders to become more active, we'd be able to measure them when they became third graders and see if we were making a measurable difference.
So I'd like to remind the audience that our program is called Move Every Day. And the idea was to give sneakers, along with the quid pro quo, that those sneakers represent moving any way that they can move. And when we go into the classrooms, we actually have the students tell us what kinds of exercise they might do. But one of the exercises they might do is running. And Rudy, do you want to talk a little bit about the Kids Damar?
Yep, so I think this project grew in some ways from our work in the Kids Damar. The Kids Damar is in its 7th year this year now, will be the 7th year. It involves a much bigger geographic area because the Kids Damar aligns to the Healthy Monadnock work of the community to become the healthiest community of the nation. So we are in 42 schools for the Kids Damar, and kids in grades kindergarten to 5th grade register in their schools, and then they walk around their 25 miles during the summer, so that they can come to the Damar Marathon, which is the last Sunday of September every year, and run the last 1.2 miles to sort of finish their marathon. And we made, and I think we made the sneakers idea. We were careful because we didn't want children or families to feel like accepting the sneakers in some way compelled them or forced them to be part of the Damar. They're separate, and as you just said, Move Every Day is all sorts of movements: bicycling, jumping, soccer, sports. You know, the Damar is more a running and walking event, and so they complement each other, but they're not meant to be the same.
And how many runners did you have last year?
So this past year we had 1,100 children register, and we had nearly 800 come to race day, and we saw a lot of brand new, bright New Balance shoes on some of the younger kids.
Great.
I want to add that one of the very exciting things is to watch those 800 children and what I call their posses, their mom, their dad, maybe their little sibling or an older sibling, all come across the line. So that 800 multiplies enormously. And being at the finish line is fantastic, watching 6, 7, and 8-year-olds come across the line as though they've won the Olympics.
You know, we keep pretty good statistics on our runners, and over the last 3 years, as the sneaker project has grown, we've seen more second graders sign up in the spring and more third graders run. So now that group of third graders in the fall is the largest group of the K through 5. So clearly we've had some impact on providing them sneakers, encouraging them to move, and then having them take advantage of the DMAR. So it's done exactly what we'd hoped. So.
So Denise, can you talk a little bit about how we reach out to the schools and how do we know what the sizes are for 875 kids?
So what we have done is, and this is a 3-year-old program that we're now working in year 4, and what we have done is taken all of the schools in Cheshire County, and we engaged the nurses and principals in those schools to send out permission slips, and they start the size, then we size up the sneakers a half size, and we go out and physically do fittings and sizing when we're in the schools making our deliveries. So it's been an exciting program.
Ted, can you add a little bit about sizing sneakers for children?
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, there's a few techniques that we talk to our Rotary members, our volunteers, about the process. And what is interesting about it, though, is really if a young girl is a size 2 and we order 875 pairs of shoes and we've got those shoes allocated for Simon's school, let's say, and we grab that size 2 box and we open it up, she may or may not like that color. And if she doesn't like the color, she doesn't tell us. But she puts the shoe on, which essentially probably fits really well, and she says it doesn't fit right. So the color challenge has been somewhat fun. It's a little bit of a hurdle. The good news is we've got a pretty good back stock, don't we, now?
Yeah,
So
we
we can shift that pretty quickly. But you know, I just want to just jump in here a little bit
Sure.
and back up a little. Denise and John Round came to the club because our fundraiser every year, Clarence DeMar Marathon, and prior to that was a golf tournament, we would raise money and we would have a beneficiary committee to select nonprofit groups to benefit children around the region. And so our club would write checks to these nonprofit agencies, and oftentimes we didn't know really where all the money was going. We had a pretty good sense of it, but Denise, in her foresight, thought, we want to have measurable outcomes. You know, we want to know that it's a direct tie to our fundraiser and that it fits within the community. So as I sat in that club meeting and Denise was thinking, let's try to see if we can change and have more accountability for what we're doing for our fundraiser. I heard direct tie to the community, measurable outcomes, does it fit? And I thought, you know, that's pretty interesting, because me as a business, in the shoe business, I was going to a few schools as much as I could afford, and I'm able to get shoes from New Balance, brand new shoes, inexpensively. But all of a sudden I was getting more calls from school nurses, and I thought, oh, this is going to turn into a little bit too big of a deal for me. So I didn't want my business to have anything to do with this project. And so when I reached out to New Balance and said, can we provide shoes? I went to Denise and said, I think I might have an idea here. And she said, well, let me talk to John and the committee about it, because we do things in committee. And God bless her, she executed this whole thing, went to the schools and created the templates. And the first year was interesting, right? We thought we're going to give shoes to children who need them, you know, who maybe have a scenario financially where they can't afford new shoes. And so we gave the parents form an opt-out. So parents who could afford them had the right to say, we're all set, we'll get our children's shoes. So I remember going to a school to fit them, and there was 12 kids on the bleachers whose parents said, no, we'll get our kids their own shoes, and we're fitting all the other kids. And it just didn't feel right at all. So that following year, we decided, you know what, regardless if they can afford them or not, every second grader is going to get a shoe. So the beauty of our relationship with New Balance is that we're able to order the children's shoes for $10 a pair, and adult sizes, which start at When we have plenty of big feet in second
We
grade.
do.
Yeah, so
We
you
sure
would think.
do.
Our-
Growing
our,
big.
That was a surprise.
are $12 a pair. So, the proceeds from the Clarence DeMar Marathon help purchase the shoes that we are able to deliver. But, our committee, Susan, you and Denise, and the way that our team comes together is pretty outstanding to see this process take shape.
I would say that is the way the club does all this business. Every third grader gets a dictionary, whether we do any assessment of need. No, every child can sign up for the DeMar for free,
Right.
right? We're very much in the every child deserves these opportunities. And so I really like that. The other thing I really appreciate about the committee when they formed the sneaker project was I had already had some years with the kids DeMar with the principals and the physical education teachers in the school. But we're always looking to engage more of the helpful adults in the school. And so the fact that the school nurses became the main contacts here didn't burden the physical education teachers any more than they needed to be for the kids DeMar.
Right.
And now we have a whole new group of caring adults who are on board with this and excited about this. So it was well done in that regard.
And I'd like to add that the school nurses are enthusiastic about participating with us because they see the clear need in some of their families where the children have had only hand-me-downs. They've never had a brand new pair of shoes, which raises the whole specter of what it's like to deliver shoes when we go into these schools. Let me add that we have 65 members of our club, and almost everybody at least takes one school to do deliveries. But most people take multiple schools because it's a blast to go into the schools and talk to second graders, 7 and 8-year-olds, about giving them something for free. So it is just so much fun to do that. Does anybody have any stories they'd like to tell about a school delivery that sticks out in your mind?
Well, I would like to just add before we get to that part, Susan, that one of the things that we started doing last year is we actually engaged the kids from the previous year deliveries. So we would have them as ambassadors for the sneaker project, and they would talk about their experience with the sneakers, and that was a lot of fun. So try to keep those kids engaged.
So let me just add before we talk about stories and going into the schools, all of our volunteers wear one of these t-shirts. It says Move Every Day, and it has the logo that we've developed thanks to the input of Beth Corwin, who's the former physical education teacher at Simon School, and she worked with us. And then, of course, the Rotary Wheel and the name of our Rotary Club is on the back. We also had another t-shirt, which we began, which is the Shoe Crew. And the Shoe Crew goes into the schools as well. That way we're at least identified as legitimate deliverers, if you will, of the school, of the sneakers to the schools. I also want to add that one of the other things that we do is we have a lot of cooperating organizations who donate pieces of what they do to give to the children. So each student gets not just a pair of sneakers, but gets a pair of socks that are worthy of being worn under those sneakers. They get a pass to the Keene Family Y for them and their family to go take a wonderful day of activity at the Keene Family Y. They get a pass to take a MoCo dance class or activity class of some sort, and they can do that. They get to put on skates instead of shoes and skate at the brand new Keene Ice, which is also a blast. But one of the exciting things that they do is they also get a family pass on a given night to the Keene Swamp Bats. And we hope that of the group of children that get their sneakers, that they'll bring their parents and their siblings and come enjoy a Swamp Bats game. And then they go on the field and they show off their sneakers to whatever crowd is assembled there during one of the inning breaks at the Swamp Bats. So we are grateful to all the organizations that help us spread the word. Delivery is really fun, and as you can see, the sneakers are just fabulous. They come in a variety of colors, as Ted said. Unfortunately, we try not to give the kids any choice in colors, but we often get blowback, as the case may be. And I can remember one story where I had a pair of pink sneakers about to go on a little girl, and she said, "I don't do pink." But her shoes that she had on had pink trim on them. What can you do?
She was done with pink.
She was just done with
was
pink.
done.
I think-
Second grade,
I think
done
we,
with
we
pink.
have way more kids who, when you open that box, and it doesn't matter what color
That's
that
right.
shoe can be black,
Yeah.
and they'll tell you that's their favorite color
Yeah.
because it's their sneaker. It's really pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
Yeah.
Yep. One of the first years that we did this, of course, we do the exercises with the kids. So, we tend to run in place, or, we pretend that we're swinging a club, or, shooting hoops or something. And we did push-ups that year. And we had one kid said, "I like to do backflips," and we drew the line there. But
Because we do it with them, and
We
so
do.
backflips were
Yeah.
not in order.
You asked about some of the stories that we hear, and I can count on both hands hearing a little second grader, boy or girl, look me in the eye and say, "This is the first new pair of shoes I've ever had." And that really resonated with our club, and emotionally too, because we don't have to live per se like that, and it touches your heart to be able to do that for someone. And the following year, when we go back to deliver dictionaries to these third graders, the shoes, many of them still fit. So that's part of the reason we size them up a little bit. Maybe their parents sized them up when they wrote their size down. We size them up another half size. So their feet aren't going to get any smaller. But it's really a joy to see these kids wear these shoes for almost a full calendar year.
The children write us thank you notes, and that's
Oh,
always
yeah.
another way that we as a
Right.
club,
Yeah.
week after week, sort of read them, and they do. Some of them are very heartfelt about, I usually have to take my brother's hand-me-downs, and now I've got my own pair that I don't have to do that, and things like that.
I've even run into parents who have said, my kids got sneakers last year. It was so amazing. My kids loved it, and thanks for what you're doing. And that's really gratifying as far as the community, because that's what we like to do, is give back.
Absolutely.
One of- Susan, the other part of the reason we chose New Balance, because there's lots of different brands of shoes that we could have chosen, but New Balance is based in Boston. They're owned by Jim and Ann Davis. It's a privately owned company, not unlike C&S here. But they're the only brand that offers sneakers for kids in multiple widths. And when we see kids' feet, we have so many different widths. And if we were doing Nike or Adidas, it's one width. So, we can fit a majority of, not majority, every single one of these kids with a different size or width or color. And for them to offer these to us at that rate, a brand new shoe, is pretty outstanding.
I would like to remind everybody that we do deliver these sneakers near the end of the school year, beginning about the second week in May and finishing up the first week in June. And that way the children have them for the summer, so they can log their 25
that
miles
timing-
or whatever. So the timing is really quite wonderful.
Yeah.
We actually delivered 2 of the 3 years that we delivered at Mount Caesar School in Swansea. We did it out on the front lawn. So the kids got a chance to really show us what it is that they do for exercise, and that was just absolutely so much fun.
DeMar sign-up is the last week of April through the end of the school year. So again, it's so complimentary to have us encouraging kids to do the kids DeMar, and then the sneakers come to the school and the same.
And I have to say that when we receive the shoes from New Balance, we have 875, let's call it 900 pairs of shoes. We take them all out of the boxes. They're different sizes, widths, boys, girls, colors. And then we have to look at all the schools and the process that Denise and you have created for all of our Rotarians to come in here, which are a bunch of leaders that all want to try to have their own idea about this, is pretty interesting. And it is very complex, really. I mean, it's easy just to say, well, we deliver 875 pairs of shoes, but it is an unbelievable process to get these organized by school, by gender, by size.
We had to buy a
And
trailer
We
did.
did.
to haul,
Trailer.
to haul the shoes about.
Yeah. So I can't tell you how much it's just a blast to be involved with this, but how much legwork the two of you have had to plan and orchestrate this thing and deal with all the leaders in our club with all their ideas, because there's a lot.
But also having a whole lot of people who want to make difference in their community gives us the opportunity to have a huge number of volunteers to do this. We'll often show up. Actually, one of the things Denise and I created was the ability to have every 4 children have 1 adult. So if we're going into a school like Mount Caesar where there was over 80 second graders, you can imagine how many adults we needed to have to deliver those shoes. And we would offer this to anybody who would like to join us as a volunteer. Contact Denise or myself or the Elm City Rotary Club. We would love to have additional people to help us go to some of these schools. It's great fun, it really is. I have a story I want to share. I was in the supermarket one day about maybe a week or 2 after we'd finished up our project, and this little boy, little 8-year-old, was staring at me in the supermarket. And I said to him, "Hi there, how are you?" And I looked at his feet and he didn't have his sneakers on, so I wasn't really sure why he was staring at me. And he looked and he went, "Sneaker lady!"
I love it.
And I said to him, "Where are your sneakers?" And his father was a couple of paces away, and he said, he doesn't want to get them dirty. It was
Beautiful.
just the most wonderful, and
Right.
I shook the little boy's hand and said, "Well, you can wear the sneakers. It's okay." It was adorable.
It makes me think of the thank you cards that say, "I'm going to take care of my sneakers the best, I'm not going to
Wear
get them
them for
dirty.
the
I'm
rest
gonna,
of
all
my
that." I
life.
just, they clearly feel them to be a gift and something that's theirs, and and it's wonderful. It really is. Yeah.
The other thing that we're doing with these is, Ted, you've got a box outside for returning
right.
sneakers, right?
Yeah.
Once they've been,
recycle bin. Yeah.
yep. And we get a percentage of,
Yeah, so it's an interesting scenario. So a company called EcoSmith, they're based in New Hampshire, husband and wife were owned. They team up with nonprofits around the state, and so they'll look for businesses to place a recycling bin. Maybe it's for clothing or for shoes. In this case, it's sneakers. And we've filled that bin 100 times already. It's amazing. But people bring their old shoes in, we put them in the bin. They collect them once a week. They send them to developing countries. And as long as we select a nonprofit, as Ted's Shoe and Sports selects a nonprofit, which in this case is the sneaker program, they give us 50 cents per pair that get recycled. So they've cut 4 checks a year to us to help offset some of the pricing for the shoes, which is
Right.
pretty neat.
allows us to reinvest back in our community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've also had several road races around town that have raised money for the sneaker project. A lot of people are behind it. I know Body and Soul put a race on the Fall Festival last year that helped us raise money, and Scores has done some raising money, and then we have the Team Demar. So we've got lots of different vehicles raising money for these shoes besides just the marathon.
And I think we got a good thing going. So if other Rotary clubs or even any service club thought that this could be their gift to their communities, you'd hope that they would
Absolutely.
give us a call and see how we do it, because I think we have it down pretty well for another community.
I think that's an important point, because we have indeed talked about how we could expand the program, but our territory was really Cheshire County. And so we turned to other service clubs and say, if you'd like to join us, we'd love to expand into your area by having the Move Everyday Sneaker Project move into other counties, but with the help of a service organization in that county. It'd be very exciting.
Right.
And we
'Cause
need
it
all the help we can get.
Right, it boils down to capacity. As a
Capacity.
volunteer organization,
Right.
we're tapped out. But,
Yep.
yeah.
Luckily, some of us are retired, so we can spend a little more time on it, but it is incredibly time consuming. The club really does this project probably from around the middle of March until the first week in June. And it takes that long to get the information about the sneakers, engage the school nurses, order the shoes, process the shoes, and then deliver the shoes. It is really amazing. But again, we want to emphasize that this is not just about sneakers. This is really about Move Every Day. This is really about having children associate having sneakers with the thought of, oh, I got my sneakers on. I can't watch television. I can't play a video game. I need to get out there and do something. So we hope to, and we reinforce this wherever we go.
We know the schools have, with the influence of the Sneakers Project and the Kids Demar, that they've added activity opportunities. There's more and more of the safe routes to schools where children are back to walking, as we probably did in our youth. And then after school, I know that certain elementary schools have cross-country kind of teams and after-school movement activities, and it was just what we hoped, that by introducing the idea of moving every day, other opportunities would arise that would be year-round. We don't want this to seem like this is just a May and June thing or the DeMar's a September thing. This is a year-round thing for children.
Absolutely.
Pretty exciting stuff, I think.
Yeah, and you know, the other piece of this that you just showed all the coupons and gifts that we give to them in the box. I mean, the community really wraps their arms around this too. The Swamp Bats and Moco and Keen Ice and the Y. I mean, it's we can get them moving in second grade, and we'll keep them moving afterwards. So it's been a really nice partnership with the rest of the community too.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's
and I think we
exciting.
invite other sponsors out there who would see an alignment to this if they offer some movement activity that all children would take, second grade children would take advantage of, that we're happy to take their donation towards this as well, right?
Yeah, we'll put your logo on the shoelaces, you know.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
We have that capacity.
we've done, we've done our
We've done shoelaces, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So we're going to need to wrap up very shortly. Would each of you like to give us a final pearl of wisdom or add something else to our discussion?
Well, I think it falls right in line with wanting to become the healthiest community. We want to get kids moving, and by 2020, that's not too far away. Everything that we can do for the youth in our community regarding the Sneaker Project or the Kids DeMar just helps us get in line with that healthy community, and it makes Keene special, and that much more special.
And we're really hopeful that all kids out there will, in the second grade of Cheshire County, will actually take advantage of this program. I think that the kids that tend to, or the parents that opt out for their kids, tend to be the ones who need it the most. And it's about everybody and being involved in this. So.
And I would say, you know, we said about measuring third grade weight and height, and that happens again next year. So in 2008, 32% of our children third grade were at an unhealthy weight. Then 5 years later, 25%. It had gone down by 7%. Now we have a chance to look at the next 5 years, of which the Sneakers and the DeMar have both been a part of.
That's great.
So I'd like to wrap up by saying we live in a wonderful collaborative community. Our Rotary Club works with lots of other organizations, and add their efforts to make this a really amazing community. And I'm delighted to be a part of this, and I know the three of you are as well,
Absolutely.
as are a huge number of our Rotary Club. So we'd like to thank Cheshire TV for the opportunity to discuss our Move Everyday Sneaker program.